I totally didn't just record the first minute of this with my mic muted. Anyways, hello the internet, welcome to episode 31 of Minecraft Creative, in which today we are building something vaguely gatehouse-esque. And I say vaguely gatehouse-esque because I don't know if this actually qualifies as a gatehouse. Anyways, we started off this episode by building a bunch of kind of frames for it, just for like the first pillars so that I could work out the height, because I wanted it to not be taller than all of the other buildings in this neighbourhood, but to at least look tall in comparison to the very big wall next to it. So that meant doing bits like this, of extending the very tops of those towers. So I had it be, once you reach the top level, and a block. Wait, no. It was a stair next to a block, so it made kind of an angle. And then, I think it was it another block on top of that, then a wall, then a fence, then a candle? So that it basically went as pointy and narrow as possible. I think that did help, especially from different perspectives. It does look quite tall. I think from actually being on the same level as it, it doesn't feel as tall as it looks, which, joys of illusions, I guess. Copying it out wasn't the world's easiest, and doing this bit first ended up being a little bit annoying later on down the line, because putting in the glazed terracotta where I wanted, as you're going to see, was by no means my most favourite part of this project. I hated it. It's, for as pretty as glazed terracotta is, I think the one reason I avoid using it is because I find it incredibly difficult to use. So for this bottom section of the thing, I put I put in are they ochre frog lights? I think those are the ochre frog lights. And then, my voice, jeez. And then went in and added all of these stairs and stuff. I'm losing my train of thought rapidly. Oh, I covered the frog lights with the bamboo mosaic-y trapdoor things, because I decided it looked, obviously it's a light block, but it looked too bright without something covering part of it, and I decided, well, I like the look of the bamboo, it goes with the colour palette, we're going with that. Now, whether that initial staircase went in, there ended up being a little bit poking out, and I came back to this later on and added in all of the, not all of the, a good chunk of some glazed terracotta, as well as I think a bit of blue terracotta. I've not done it yet, so I don't know why I'm talking about it, but hey ho. I then went in and made sure that this section was going to at least work to connect up, and this is where you can kind of see what I mean about the building isn't actually as tall as it could be. As you can see, where that wall is, you're basically more than halfway up the tower. You come out of the little archway and there's really not much. It feels short. But it looks okay from the outside, and once again doing that thing with making the really long pointy wall pieces just to try and continue that back from the building for a little bit. There's no logic to it. I was kind of just building and coming up with it as I went. I went in and added in different little details, like adding those walls into the bottom where there was just a solid block to give it more dimension. I did like doing that. That was a decision I'm very happy that I made. Again, the problem is it's all about how big you build and therefore how much detail you can get. And I don't necessarily build super big, particularly because I'm trying to do it that I spend an hour to do one video in terms of just recording and building. And then this takes me, 10 minutes? Plus, then I have to go get thumbnails. I'm not looking forward to doing that. I have so much, stuff that just needs to get done, and because it's all creative stuff, it takes time, which is the downside to doing creative things, but at the same time, it's so rewarding when it pans out nice. And I am really liking the direction the harbour's going in. I think it's definitely been worth me doing all of the watching of, Hermitcraft and stuff and getting new ideas, and then apparently I'm just staring into the void for ages. That's helpful. Come on, Pascos, let's get on with it. Buildy build. Please, please. Any minute now. There we go. Back to it. Yeah. So I was trying to mix the patterns up here. I didn't want to do it all in one colour for this section. I wanted it to almost feel like it could be graffiti, but that it wasn't. If that makes sense. fancy, ornate looking, like a mural or something. Oh, and then I went in and added the blue terracotta because I decided I really cannot be bothered with trying to put in 3 more glazed terracotta blocks exactly at the angle I want. That's just torture. As I was going to find out later, it probably would have been easier to just do that and not do what I did later on. And then I went and was trying to work out how I wanted to fill in this top section. Skulk, I liked the idea of. However, I think that would need to be on a much darker build. The colours clashed. They didn't look good. So I went, well, let's try adding the gold. But the gold was a bit too obnoxious. I liked the texture, but you couldn't then texture it down particularly easily. So I added in the trapdoors I didn't like, and then I decided to try and put in glazed terracotta. Now, I did want the pattern to match up, because you were going to see it all the way round. And as I would discover, this would eventually end up being something that was going to take me, I think it was a solid half hour to do this. At this point, I'd spent a good 20 minutes on the initial build, and then it took me even longer to try and do this. Here I am trying to build the block just outside of that tower. Yeah, that. I got this, and then I couldn't work out how to get the rest. So it was a bit of trial and error, and I ended up having to accept that it would be 2 sides would have one pattern, 2 sides would have another. And if that was the way it was, and that was the way it would work, I would go with it. Because I was desperate to have this in my build. Because I thought, that'll look pretty. It does look pretty. I'm very happy that I did include it in the build. However, torturing myself with this for however long was not fun. I don't know if there is a way that you can make the cubes so you have the pattern where it all meets in the middle all the way around. I have a feeling you probably can't, but I can't picture the geometry of that in my head. So we're just going to assume that you can't and that I ended up doing what was the only thing that was possible. And that's fine by me. So I finished this up and then had to do the other tower and then covered it up with gold, looked at it and went, okay, I'm not about to have wasted 30 minutes and destroy all of it. I then went in and textured all of the sandstone so it looked more worn down by using suspicious sand and just regular sand because they are literally identical in colour and just a variation on texture, which is fantastic and incredibly helpful for builds like this. What did I do next? Oh, I added in some, plant beds. I wanted to put in sunflowers. The sunflowers faced the way I wanted the sunflowers to face, so we built sunflowers. And then I added in torch flowers and the wildflowers at the front so that it kind of comes down in a bit of a slope and looks nice and colourful. Yeah. I added in a border to these planters and then was like, okay, that's cool. I then kind of flew around and looked at everything, trying to work out if I liked the perspective or not, because otherwise I had to fix them. But I did like the perspective, so we were fine, and I didn't have to deal with things like that. Oh, I then went in and added torches, because I thought, I guess that makes sense as a detail there would be. And equally, they're light, so they're practical. I then added in buttons and more tiny things. I don't know what I'm doing here. Oh, I then realised I had to cover that other bit of frog light with a trapdoor. That was a fun revelation. And then I have a habit of just scrolling through. Oh, please excuse the yawn. I think that's the first time this video though. Well done me. I have this habit of just scrolling through the items until I find something that sparks interest. I also decided that I wanted to throw in vines and stuff hanging down from the archway. Does it make sense? No. Do I think it looks pretty? Absolutely it does. Those vines have all grown down properly now, where I just left them as singular blocks, and I like them. They look good. Oh, and then I went in and added these weird candelabra things outside for some reason, and then put candles on the fountain. I don't know, I think maybe it's a magic fountain, and these are offerings and stuff, and there's vague lore to the different regions of this world. Not really. This is kind of the first region I've actually put masses of thought into. Oh my god, it really is, isn't it? This is the first one I've actually put a heck of a lot of effort in. Wow. Welcome onto this journey, the internet. If you're still sticking around at this point in the video, do like and subscribe. We ramble like this twice a week. It's fun. And then I added in some amethyst and conduits and various little trinkets. I wish we had more kind of trinkety objects that could be placed in Minecraft. It's like we have the heart of the sea, but you can't place the heart of the sea. Oh, and then I messed up and didn't get this pot, so I decided to try putting myself in survival mode to get it back, and then it was a whole thing. And we don't talk about the fact that I don't understand what blocks can and can't be broken with just your hand in survival. But I don't play survival, I play creative. Goodbye the internet.